Here we have an episode that I've been wanting to review since the beginning, even back when I had the whole crossover gimmick. So, why did it take me this long? It took me forever to remember the name of the episode. So, before we begin, since this is the first time I'm mentioning Foster's on this channel, I kinda have to say what I think about the show. I remember really liking it. Sure, it's not my absolute favorite Cartoon Network show, though if I were ever to make top 10 favorite Cartoon Network shows, there's a good chance it would end up on the list. And while I would like to say that I think it's Craig McCracken's best work, as I'm recording this, I'm only like 7 episodes into Wanda Over Yonder, so I can't say for sure. Though, quick question, when does Lord Dominator show up? I mean, she was the main reason why I decided to watch the show, so I'm just curious. Anyways, back to bacon, it's time to jump into this episode, Eddie Monster. Anyways, let's begin. It starts with the main characters playing with a frisbee, or as they call it, a whizbee, because, you know, copyright. And when Blue throws it to Eduardo, he ducks and flies into the Extremosaur cage. And in case you haven't seen this show, Extremosaurs are pretty much just imaginary giant monsters. They're not a big deal, I mean, I think this is like one of the 3 or 4 episodes that ever brought up. They ask Eduardo why he freaked out at the whizbee, and this is his response.
It's not just a whizbee! It's flying disco doom that fly around and want to eat me!
The whizbee wants to eat you.
See, it wants to—
The whizbee wants to eat you!
Blue dares Eduardo to go and get it, but he's too scared. They suggest of other things they could do, but he's too scared of them as well. They get frustrated with him, and Blue taunts Eduardo for being scared of everything, and this convinces Eduardo into running away to prove that he's brave. We cut to Mac's older brother Terrence, who's being rejected from, as we see later, imaginary friend cockfighting, and then the two of them run into each other. Terrence mocks Eduardo for being a scaredy cat, and this leads to Eduardo running in the street where a car comes and... Part of me is tempted to make an old person driver joke, but one, that's kinda too obvious, and 2, I'd say that there's at least a 50% chance that Tombo's gonna bite my head off for it, so yeah, I won't. Anyways, Eduardo picks up and throws the car, and this makes Terrence recruit him. Though before the fight starts, we cut to Foster's where Wilt and Coco notice that Eduardo is missing, and Blue tells them that he ran away. We cut back to the fight where Eduardo somehow wins, and then we cut to the rest who seem to have stolen Frankie's bus and are looking for Eduardo. While Mac, Wilt, and Coco are worried, Blue is...
So who's up for some pizza? Maybe hit the clubs?
a dick. I mean, yeah, I remember Blue being kinda selfish, but damn.
He's an asshole.
We then get a montage of Eduardo's fights and his friends looking for him, where Eduardo gets more wins and they don't find him. Eduardo is starting to want to go back to Foster's, but Terrence convinces him to stay for a huge tournament coming up. We cut to Mac talking to Terrence about Eduardo being missing, and well, I think the scene could speak for itself.
Terrence, what are you doing with all those potatoes?
Well, they're not for Eduardo, if that's what you're thinking. I mean, why would he want all these potatoes? So he could eat them all before he fights the Extremosaur Ultimate Battle Tournament? Where do you come up with this stuff?
I didn't. You did.
Yeah, like I would ruin everything by telling you how I found Eduardo and got him to fight for me down at the junkyard. How dumb do you think I am?
Pretty dumb.
Wow, Terrence. I'm pretty sure there are Bond villains who are pointing and laughing at you right now. They find Eduardo and try to convince him to come back, but he's still kinda mad about earlier, and then we get the line that made me want to review this so badly.
Sorry, but teenage boys come up with the grossest imaginary friends. I mean, they're seriously disgusting.
Can we talk about this for a minute? Oh yeah, I said the phrase, so you know I'm about to overanalyze the shit out of this children's cartoon. But just, imaginary friends that teenage boys come up with. In a world where people can just create life from their imagination, well, I don't doubt giant monsters and cockfighting would be a thing, but teenage boys would not be the ones making this. I mean, in this world, pretty much every 14-year-old boy would have their own harem of supermodels, porn stars, anime waifus, or whatever else their sick imaginations could come up with to satisfy their desires. Or maybe they could be slightly more creative and just make one who could shapeshift into whoever and whatever they want. Hell, I'll admit that's probably what I would do when I was 14. But what I'm getting at is, just, what if, like the other imaginary friends, they were eventually giving up and went to fosters? I mean, at that point, there's really only one use for them, and let's just say Madame Foster would actually be a madam. Anyways, now that I'm done talking about imaginary prostitutes, the others take out Eduardo's opponent and take their place. They get found out, and this gets Terrence disqualified. So, after a cameo from Ed, and Eddie, oh, I get it. The Ed's cameo in an episode about Eduardo. That's kinda clever. Terrence throws them into the giant crate and tells Eduardo that if he's not a chicken, he'll go and save them. So he goes in and we see a knockoff Pikachu with tentacles. Oh, I get it. A knockoff Pikachu in an episode about fighting creatures. That's not as clever. So Eduardo saves them by stepping around the knockoff Pikachu, something that they all could have done. But hey, we need to make Eduardo look brave. After he gets them out, he yells at Terrence so loud that he goes flying into the crate only to run out, pissing himself. We then cut to later where Blue kinda sorta not really apologizes to Eduardo, who then faints at the sight of another Whizbee, and the episode ends. This was a really good episode. While I feel that Eduardo's timidness and fear were flanderized a bit for the sake of the plot, it wasn't that bothersome since it did work out in the end. And as I brought up, I feel like that they all could have easily gotten out of the crate just by avoiding knockoff Pikachu. Also, personally, I feel like they didn't go far enough with the whole parodying the Monster Friend fighting show thing from the 90s. I mean, yeah, we did get knockoff Pikachu, but tell me if this episode was made today, you couldn't see them also referencing stuff like Digimon, Metabots, and Monster Rancher. Which, off topic, am I the only one who really wants a new Monster Rancher game? Though, yeah, other than that, I really enjoyed this episode, even with the implications that the dark reaches of my adult mind created.
I was transported to a faraway land, into a world where monsters rule. I played the game like an ace. Now we're in this place to save the monsters from